Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Anyway, what's up, brother?
Dude, I'm chilling right now. I'm chilling at home. I'm not, fucking relaxing.
Right on, right on, right on. Man, well, one of the reasons that I got you on there, I want you to talk about Afro Goth aesthetics. First of all, I'm going to introduce you, and then I want people to know, like, tell cats about yourself too. This is HESH Hippie. He's a skater, and he's also, makes his own music and everything. And let me know if I've missed anything, and also tell everybody about yourself, whether it's things that I'm just talking about or things that I didn't talk about.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, well, I'm a leader or a representative of the Afro Goth aesthetic. We represent everything in the Black Afro Latino culture. People who just accept themselves for who they are, not giving a fuck about what people think. If you like to wear all black, you like goth, you like punk rock, you like metal, just fucking be yourself. Know where the roots are from. Know that black culture is rooted in rock and roll and all these different lanes, and know where it came from. And that's really what they represent. And me as a person, I'm a skateboarder, I'm a model, I work with different influencers, brands, music artists, venues, all kinds of things. I'm the voice of the inner city OC. Not that, you know, Trump loving South County stuff, but the inner city OC where it's mainly Mexican, Asian, mixed communities to where everyone is together and, you see artwork on the buildings, see graffiti around the town, you see life and real life shit happening. And then we got, the Doll Hut in Anaheim and all these different punk rock venues and punk rock shows and rock events that go on in our area. It's just there's a lot to love from the inner city OC, and I try to show that through my content and everyone around me.
Now,
So
I'll be honest, I'm from Long Beach, pretty
yeah,
much LA County, but I'll be honest, like, I'm not too fond of OC. I've been up there, I've played gigs up there. Um, and there's certain areas that I'm not too fond of because of certain environments, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Um, and first of all, what would you describe as, like, the urban OC? And also, have you had any of that kind of opposition out there? Especially, did you grow up in Orange County, or like what's your whole history? I mean, where are you? I mean, like, what's your origin?
Yeah, I grew up in Orange County, but the inner city OC, I consider it like Santa Ana, Garden Grove, Anaheim, these areas where you have a little bit more ghetto areas, like when I was like the first time I had someone in my life around me close, like even in my area, I saw him die from gang violence is when I was like 12 or like maybe younger than that because I was in middle school. I was in like 7th grade, and one of like the young kids was like a gangbanger, and he got shot in the park and like crawled in someone's backyard and passed away. And like that was just my reality growing up. The first time I had a gun pulled on me was in middle school. Skating through the different parks when I was young, you had to always be like, is there a gang? Just kicking in the park. Am I gonna have to go around this? Am I gonna have to navigate? And then just even my Ponderosa Park in Anaheim that I go skate at. You could look that up on YouTube, and a bunch of gang videos are gonna come up. But the people over there are real ass people. If you treat a person like a human, they're gonna treat you like a human, and that's what I learned from this environment, growing up in this area. And being black, one of the only black kids in this area, I did see some opposition. I did have to learn to embrace myself because I didn't grow up with my black half. I never met my dad. So growing up, I had to learn to embrace myself in these different lanes and not give a fuck about what people thought or the people around me. And going to like Huntington Beach, like I said, like these Trump areas, or like Irvine, or like these Richie areas to where you don't see people of color, and it's people are following you around the store, they're judging you by the way that you look. Just arriving on a location, they're already going to be calling the cops or looking at you differently. I definitely had to deal with that, growing up as well. But once I started skateboarding, I started going to LA. I started going to these different environments as well, and being like, okay, like I love the the black community. Just it works, it fits. Like I just felt like at home. I felt myself, and growing up my Mexican half, um, that was okay. You know, I felt all right, but I always looked black, so that was just how they identified me as. You know, you're black. That's it. You know, and I just had to learn to just not give a fuck. And then when I got to like high school, I started getting really into like the punk rock. Started skating at the Fullerton skate park where they had punk rock shows after dark. They would just post up in the fucking skate park, dimly lit. People would be skating in the mosh pit, like bands going off. I had a couple I had a board sponsor and a clothing sponsor, both huge in the punk rock scene. So I was always doing things in those lanes, and you know, I just learned to just be myself and not give a fuck about anything around me and just embrace who I was and what I liked. And I think that resonates in a lot of the content that I make today, because it's just things that made me who I am today. You know, music, fashion, art, all the people I work with. It's a combination of everything that is I've experienced throughout my life, pretty much.
Interesting, man. Very, man. Wow. When you, as far as music goes, what got you into music, first of all? And me and my three ended questions. Second of all, what got you participating into music? And how did you especially get into punk rock, you know? And even how did you get into hip hop?
Yeah.
Sorry if I got like three questions in one.
Well, I think it started with like the hip hop. Just I always loved the music. My mom was always. I think my first memory with my mom was rolling through Long Beach bumping Tupac, and Tupac was a dude that, you know, he was a real ass person. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind and be true to his word, and he was an influential black figure that was just strong, that I could gravitate towards and really look towards. You know, of course I listened to everything from NWA to, you know, to Wu-Tang to Common to just all kinds of different people, but Tupac was one of the ones that really resonated to me as like someone I could look up to. And then I had, you know, my family members who always had all kinds of different music tastes. I started getting into skateboarding, and those skate videos had people skating to Slayer and, you know, all these different bands, Sabbath, Zeppelin, you know, Death, just so many different bands out there that it exposed me to. And I was like, I fucking love this. Like, this is, it makes me feel like I want to fucking charge it and I want to go. And when I'm skating, that's what I like to do. I like to skate riverbeds. I like to skate fast. I like to just, you know, that's why they call me the HESH hippie, because like that not give a fuck, like HESH mentality is like what I embodied through my skateboarding growing up. So that's, and then I got onto the punk rock, you know, the cult clothing and Millennium skateboards, and it was just like, it fit, you know, they were just, from the moment I got on the team, it just worked. And I always already skated with one of the riders all the time, so who worked at the Doll Hut in Anaheim where they have all the legendary punk shows. I'm heard that's like kind of like a white supremacy kind of.
Yeah, it has that reputation. That's why I was like, how are you? I mean, it's a trip. I'll be honest with you. I'm a, you know, punk rock dude from like the late 80s, early 90s. And even then, you know, and Tex Mosley, who's, you know, Tex has a long history with not only Philly, but he, you know, he lived out here in LA for quite some time. He's also OG Pure Hell member, by the way.
Yeah.
um, and wrote No Rules with that band. I have to put you on blast, Tex Mosley. He's in a band called the Branch Davidians. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Sorry about that, Tex. Neverland Ranch Davidians. They're awesome. You should check them out. But Orange County is notorious for that element, especially in Huntington Beach and even in Anaheim. Like, it's a trip that, and Doll Hut was known for that. That's why I had friends that I knew that play there. I'm like, I never want to go because I heard that that element was always there, you know, and like, you know, if they're in Long Beach, they have to be under the radar to some
Yep.
degree, unless, you know, and they're, that's a whole nother story. And I have
They're
stories
the
about, yeah,
minority.
huh?
That's where they're the minority in Long
Yeah,
Beach.
and it depends on where they are and who they flex on, and that's we could talk about that off of that. But so that's one of the reasons, like, I kind of not too fond of Orange County. I have friends that I'll visit that live out there. Even, I attended a church. A few friends of mine's went out there, and like, I have family out there, like in Irvine, believe it or not. And they thought it was cool. Like just the different environment from where like we all live. Long Beach is a different city in general because it's kind of hood, but it's a melting pot of so many different things that you never know wherever you are, you could easily be in one great area and then, walk somewhere else. It'll be
Yeah,
like the hood,
I
like
like a mix of OC and LA. It's that perfect in between. You know.
don't tell anybody from Long Beach that, like, I don't mind the LA thing, but Long Beach does not want to be associated with we definitely are not on OC stuff, man.
Yeah.
But also a lot of them are just like don't even know we're in LA County. They're just like, don't you even talk about LA to us. I love LA. I hang out at Leimert Park and all that, but a lot of brothers and sisters that I know, they're all like, nah, we're our own thing, bro.
Yeah.
One of the guys that even has a one cat, like there's even a page on here called Long Beach County because of that. It's like they're
I,
celebrating the culture,
I mean,
and
Long Beach is its own culture. It's not. It's far. It's 20-30 minutes from LA. It's 20-30 minutes from OC. It's its own little bubble of community and style and vibe and energy, and it's different when you go to Long Beach. I feel at home when I'm in Long Beach. The energy is just different. Like I love Long Beach. OC, the Doll Hut. I actually went one time, and it was like some of the bands they had there were kind of like interesting, but I didn't get a vibe to where it was like I was gonna get fucked up or anything like that, or anyone's gonna press me. But I was with one of like the OGs from the Doll Hut, so it wasn't like he was like the doorman and he rode for the company, so like nobody was gonna mess with me regardless.
that's
But
cool.
it was just I feel like OC is right now a lot of Hispanic, a lot of Mexican, Santa Ana.
Yep, Santa Ana for sure.
Yeah, so it's like that's why I like staying in this little bubble, like inner city OC. Like that's why I represent that because it's like I don't go to Huntington, I don't go to Irvine. Um, right, I go to Huntington to work, but once I get off work, I'm back and I'm out of there. Like I do not hang out in those areas.
Yeah, I definitely don't. But it's funny you mentioned Garden Grove too. That's one of the few places that I'll go to. And Santa Ana's cool too, like you're saying. And so I see what you mean by that.
Like the
But
hood,
yeah, man,
the more
it's a trip. Like, huh?
the more like where they consider like hood areas. Like
Man,
I saw an influencer go to Santa Ana and he's from Irvine or something like that, and he's like, I'm driving through the poorest city in Orange County right now. You don't want to go here. It's all dirt. He was just talking shit, and I'm like, damn, like I love Santa Ana. That's like my vibe. But like if I'm going to OC, like I'm, you know,
it's a
or I'm in the Anaheim hoods, but
it's a trip. You mentioned that my father, when he came out here from Alabama, him and my grandma first lived in Santa Ana. And
right.
then they moved to South Central. Tex Mosley says Rick L. Rick was based in Huntington Beach, and I played at the Doll Hut countless times, a couple of times when I played with Dwayne Peters, who draws the skaters, because yeah, he's an old school skater,
Dwayne
and the
Sanders is
skitters,
a legend.
and I've never had any issues. That's cool. You didn't.
Here's
Man,
like,
Rick
man,
L. Rick was
I,
awesome. Rest in peace.
yeah, I saw him skate so much growing up, and because I was one of the Vans indoor locals, so I'd go to the skate park and I would look up on the wall, and it'd be like all the pros that rode for Vans, and I'd look down, and it'd be all the people, and you would see the fresh crew, you see the Jesus crew come in, which was like Christian Asoy, who baptized my son,
Oh
Eddie Alguer,
wow.
and then you would see like the HESH crew come in, and it was like the owner of Creature Skateboards, Darren Navarrete, Dwayne Peters, Jeff Grosso, Peter Hewitt. You had these just like gnarly ass skaters come in that just like they were the ones that fucking pounded beers and charged it, you know, and then like came with their speaker box and put on like Slayer for the session. Everyone's just skates park, you know, like that was the type of shit that I grew up watching and was like, wow, like that's that's fucking skateboarding right there, you know?
I
Like
I knew Christian Asoy like was I didn't know he was a pastor. That's cool. He baptized your son.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
he was huge in the 80s. He went to
Oh,
jail or
oh yeah,
prison.
I remember. I was a fan in the
Yeah, he went
80s.
to prison and everything and party, and when he came out, he became a pastor, and then he had the church in Costa Mesa that he was going to. So when I wanted to go to a church, I was like, I'm going to Hasoy's church. And then
Wow.
when I had my son and I wanted to get him baptized, I went to that church, and Hasoy just so happened to be doing baptisms that day.
That's tight.
So,
So
right?
I know that's a trip, man. Like I knew that he was, he became a Christian, and I was like, wow, and I remember like this, Christian Asoy before that, but I didn't
Yeah,
know that he totally was a pastor. Now that's interesting.
he's out in OC doing his pastor thing. You know, the church closed, so now I guess they do it. And like I looked it up recently, and I think they're in like a Hyatt, like some Hyatt lets them have a room and they do their service or something. But I have, that's so crazy that he had a church, he had a mini ramp in the back, like he had a skate park for all the kids to like come and like learn to skate and stuff like that. Like he was
was
doing.
he was him? Because I met another skater by the name of Eddie Aguirre.
Oh,
Like,
Eddie Guerra?
yeah, was he? Did he ever like team with him, or was that church called the Rock or something like
Uh,
that?
that's probably where Eddie Alguera went, but he is a Christian skateboarder. He actually was the one who spoke at my friend Patty McGee. She's the first ever female professional skateboarder, and she just passed away.
Oh
So
wow,
her daughter, right, and her daughter invited me to the funeral, and Eddie Alguera was the one doing the service.
wow.
It was a legendary Paul Schmidt, the one who makes a lot of professional skateboards for Element, Plan B, all these brands. He showed up. Um, Eddie Alguera was doing the sermon. Um, Bri- uh, I believe her name is Bryce Weinstein. She's a
Huh?
professional skateboarder. I think she's in the Olympics, possibly.
Wow.
But she showed up. A lot of big names. Chris Ray, the old filmer for DC Shoes, he showed up. So it was just a really cool industry. You know, everyone got to see each other and come together for Patty, and it was like a great day. It was dope.
That's tight, man. I found out about Eddie because when I was a kid, I went to some church camp and he spoke there and he was talking about basically being a skater. I'm like, oh, that's cool, like I was a punk rocker and all that. I'm like, oh, that's rad, like it was, yeah, that was a long time
No,
ago, man. So that's why I was like,
he's
I didn't know if he was still rolling.
no, he still rolls and he's really good. He skates like 12-foot bulls. Like
Oh, Tex
no,
Tex was wondering if you saw him because he was in Dwayne Peters' band. Tex is old school too. He's
okay.
dude.
He
Tex
was
is
in
like straight up like, huh?
U.S. bombs.
He actually played. He's all. Has he seen me in gunfight?
Oh,
Gunfight.
okay.
I played with Peters for about 3 years. Yeah, he played and toured with him and everything.
That's crazy. I probably have seen because I used to watch like the videos and whatever, and like even if I didn't know the people in the background, I still saw him. You know, so I probably saw him and didn't even, know that was him until right now. So, hell yeah, it's an honor to have you in the chat.
Man, I think Dwayne Peters was the first. Like I heard. That's what I read. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I know Jay Adams and all those guys got into punk rock, but I heard Dwayne was actually the first that kind of like shaved people in. You know, like he was the actual first punk rocker, like skateboarding, like and looked like a punk rocker. That's what I've read. You know, like
He was the
um,
first one to, I don't know, spit in Tony Hawk's face and tell him to fuck off. Like he's the first
wow,
dude that just did not give a fuck. Jay Adams, you didn't want to fuck with him, but Dwayne Peters came in and he was the. I mean, people could consider him an asshole or whatever, but he just didn't give a fuck. He was like, if you're in my way, get out of my way. I'm here to skate. I'm here to charge it. I'm gonna roll into the deep end, straight in, and just go hard. You know, like that was just his mentality, and that's why he was one of the. Even if he wasn't airing the highest, he still was iconic on the skateboard.
man. Yeah, I used to skate, but I'm not as I was never a professional. I was more of a thrasher, you know,
Hmm.
like just get on my board and speed, and then try to wall ride and mess myself up.
Yeah, yeah, I love wall riding.
Ollie high,
I
huh?
loved that was like how I was too. And I feel like you'd like Dwayne Peters skating because that's what he looks like in a bowl. Like he just looks like he created, I believe it's called the acid drop, where instead of like people rolling into the bowl sideways and like letting gravity kind of like let your wheels flop over, you know, and go in normally, he goes like straight into the deep end of a bowl that's like it'll be like 12 feet and he'll just ride straight out and then like just drop into the bowl.
That's mad. That's crazy.
That was his shit. Like, you know, he would just and then he would do like crazy like layback grinds to where he would just go as fast as he can and then like grind on the coping and then put his hand down and like let his board still go and then drop into the bowl. Like he was just a madman that, you know, was fun to watch skate.
Man, speaking of Orange County punk rock, I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't like Orange County punk. I love like a lot of the earlier stuff. Actually, Tex played with Rick L. Rick. I dig the Adolescents. Rick Agnew, shouts to him. He's always been really cool. You know, I've talked to him at times. I dig on Middle Class, the first, you know, first of hardcore groups. You know,
Hell yeah.
Middle Class, and of course TSOL. They're Long Beach and Orange County together. You know,
So
so
good. Love it.
man, yeah, it's funny. I know a lot of people that have met Jack. I've never met him before, but you know, I dig TSOL like their first two albums a lot. You know.
So speaking of Jack, unrelated but still in punk, my homies went to a punk show in Anaheim, and there was like a window, and like the window fell down, and Jack Black was there.
Oh, Jack Black.
Yeah,
Wow.
Jack Black was watching his son perform in like a small backyard punk rock show, and he literally showed up to support him. Like it's so crazy. My friends had a video of like Jack. I was like, "Is that Jack Black?" They're like, "Yeah, he was at the punk show." I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's a trip.
Yeah,
I've seen
that
earlier photos. I actually was talking about Jack Grisham, but Jack Black, I've seen earlier photos. I don't know if he was a part of the whole DC thing, but there's a photo of him with his head cropped and him all just like you knew he was in the hardcore back in the day, you know.
that's fucking crazy. Yeah, he legit pulled up to this backyard punk show in fucking Anaheim. That's just to be there.
Tex actually says it gives me hope to see young black kids who are well spoken and incredibly rock. Oh, my bad. And incredibly rock and roll cool. I want to be that kid when I grow up. Man, dude, you're the trailblazer though, dude. Like, dude, Tex, I'm telling you, dude, Tex has a history. I mean, shoot, between Philly, New York, and LA, dude, like this guy's been innovating,
I mean,
bro. Like seriously, bro.
if he's like, he was in a band that like I used to like, you know, watch and like look up to. So, you know, he is the inspiration, you know, for so much of this. Even in like, all right, so like the cannabis industry, I was one of the first skateboarding cannabis influencers that really was like for cannabis and skateboarding, always putting it out. And now I see these younger dudes getting these big opportunities and stuff like right away. But I'm like, fuck yeah, like if I didn't fucking put my ass out there in the time and like sacrifice being on Nike and all these big sponsors because they didn't want someone smoking weed. But I knew that was fucking true to myself, you know? So now I get to be that pioneer for that lane and help all these other people with opportunities, you know, to grow into being something, because I already lived somewhat of what they're trying to create for themselves now, you know? And like watching his music and stuff definitely was an inspiration while I was out there skating, because like I was listening to Gunplay, I was listening to US Bombs, I was listening to all these different punk bands while I was out there, like trying to be the best version of myself out there skateboarding, you know, and make my name in these industries. So definitely like an inspiration for sure, whether I knew it or not. Like, that's dope.
That's rad. So here's a question. I just kind of happened upon goth aesthetic, like Afro goth aesthetic. You know, it was awesome. They hit me up and I talked to one of the representatives and I forgot the brother's
Yeah.
name. Tell us about not only, tell us about how you guys formed and also how you got involved in them. Like, I seriously didn't really know much about you guys until the brother hit me up, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
My friend Nicole, who you guys, shouts to Nicole. We had Nicole Noir on here a few days ago. I know you guys have been working with
Yeah.
her. What's your guys' whole story? How long have you been around, and how did you get involved with them?
So
Oh,
for
Tank says I love this kid, and the other brother says, oh man, Ephraim the Unknown says facts. He's responding to text.
oh yeah,
So yeah, he's like, I love this kid. That's awesome.
yeah, fucking Ephraim's dope. He's actually who was one of my main connections into getting involved with Afro Goth aesthetic. It had been already established before I even got involved with it, and it was doing things for the Black community and building. And I had met Ephraim and Spaceboy Kenny through what I do with the media and shooting photos and connecting people with different music artists and stuff. So I was out at an open mic. They came down from Vegas to do an event and they met up with me. We kicked it, we hit it off. They're dope, they're family at this point. And then you know, months go by and I see the Afro Goth aesthetic. Ephraim's working with them, Spaceboy Kenny's working with them. It's a really dope community because I'm always doing things for the Black community or just people of color, or that's why Instagram says the voice of Black skin, voice of OC, because I'm always out there. I used to work with the Afro Goth aesthetic, the OC Justice Initiative, which was
Mm.
an initiative that worked to promote peace, and I judged the Tyree Nichols Foundation skate contest for them. I went to the rally, a peace rally, when Trump came to Anaheim. We went and had a peace rally out there, like a peace protest outside of where he was at. So always was looking for a community to be a part of that represent just being true to yourself and the culture and not giving a fuck. And when Ephraim told me about, you know, being a representative and, you know, asked me to reach out to them, and they reached out to me and we just started working together. Just everything just happened naturally about, I want to say 6 months, you know, maybe a year ago, maybe 6 months. But um, it's just been positive ever since. You know, we've just been making moves, connecting venues, connecting people with different artists, with different influencers, with different people in the Black culture that are really making waves and moves in their own lanes. You know, everybody in the Afro Goth aesthetic has a different role as a representative. And the people that we have is just that we promote. Each one of them has their own unique style, their own unique lane. Some of them do makeup, some of them do music. You know, Ephraim, he's the manager for Spaceboy Kenny. Spaceboy
Mm.
Kenny rap. It's like an emo rock, like dope, unique sounding type of music that Spaceboy Kenny does. He's like in his own lane, although he's out there with these different emo rappers and goth rappers and black influencers and these different people all over the world. So, and then we have people like the villain of, glam. She's out there. She's a female doing like drag makeup because she loves that. It's what she, enjoys doing. It's how she enjoys doing her makeup. She has her unique style, her unique vibe. She's an amazing person. She's just fun to talk to. She's gorgeous. Like, we have so many different people in these different lanes doing different things. So we're able to connect in when we have events. We have so many different connections and so many different lanes we get to incorporate into what we do, and people we get to incorporate what we do from all around the world, um, from North Carolina to Vegas. I'm in Orange County. We got people all over. So
I'm also curious as just like the origins, even though I know you came in later, and how would you describe like how would you describe Afro Goth instead of, ooh, I'm missing the comments, sorry about that. Ephraim says the the effing goat HESH is sick at as F. Right on. Yeah, he is. Um Got it, Jet. Thanks a lot, Tex. Thanks, I love you too, brother.
yeah,
Thanks
like
a whole lot. Um
to have you here.
he said, oh shoot, I'm like, sorry, I don't have my glasses, so I'm for me, this is your best guest you had. Oh, thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
I love this dude. Follow Tex, man, and check out his band, Neverland Ranch Davidians, man. We're gonna do a special promotion when they release their music next month for sure.
Yeah, hell
This
yeah.
is awesome. But I'm curious, like just like the origins and what made, is it a collective? Is it like a conglomerate? Like, what is Afro Goth aesthetic? To some degree, it seems like man, like it's like you guys are like, I didn't. It's like you guys just like appeared out of nowhere, and I know there's origins to this. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think at least for me, like, and I appreciate you guys even like hitting me up and just curious about what I do,
yeah,
because I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of ghetto in like just the way that I'm rocking. But you know what? My thing is getting the information out there. I've
it's
been
like
researching this stuff for decades, and I've been doing this for a little bit over 10 years. As far as like just presenting it like this, and on here for like a few years. But yeah,
hell
sorry.
yeah. Yeah, the the origins just stem from, like, there's Robert who's involved with it, and he's someone who really has a heart for community, a heart for these different lanes. He has a lot of connections. He's built his name in different industries, um, just as he was growing older, and I think it got to a point where he wanted to create a collective. It's more of a collective of influencers, artists, models, anyone in entertainment who's really making waves and is a figure in the black community and isn't afraid to be a voice and to stand up for what they believe in, what's right. And like I said, the goth aspect, the punk rock aspect, you know, those are things that we really have to embrace ourselves, because so many people see, oh, that's white people stuff. That's why are you wearing skinny jeans?
Yep.
Why are you wearing all black? You look gothic. That's not black. Like, no, like, I used to tell people, like, look, like, you guys could try to be black all you want. Like, I'm living it every day. So you don't gotta try to tell me if I'm trying to act black or anything, because I already am. Like, I am who I am, and regardless of if you think I'm acting black or dressing black or whatever, or listening to music that isn't black because it's Slayer or black, whatever, I don't care. Like, I am myself, and that's what the collective represents. All these people, like I said, like the villain, the glam, she could be wearing drag, and they could be like, oh, like, but you're not a man. Drags for guys who dress like girls. They could tell her all kinds of stuff, but she still does her. She still looks great. She still models and uh, is an advocate for different lanes that she's in, and that's really the type of people that we like to have in our collective, is the people that are true to themselves no matter what. Spaceboy Kenny, his music's different. Ephraim, his style's different. my style is different, you know, especially me growing up with the punk rock and the hood influence and having that combined into my style today to where, like, you know, people see me, they're like, okay, I can see HESH hippie. You know, I see why they call you the HESH hippie because I don't introduce myself as my regular name. You know, I go, I'm HESH. And they're like, okay, like, I could see that, you know? So it's just, we just all learn to embrace ourselves as a collective, and I think that's why they gravitated towards you because it's Black history of rock and roll. It's exactly what we represent as a whole. At the same time, like, we're Black culture. You know, we love punk rock, we love metal, we love the history. You see us always posting the Robert always is killing it, or Ephraim's killing it. Whoever's doing these posts that really are of the when they research the culture and really dig deep. Like, sometimes there's these posts that you had no idea that it stemmed from Black culture, but we're doing our research and we're all educating each other and learning always. And in the group chat, we're always sending things of the Black culture, or things to educate each other on, you know, the truth of, you know, like rock and roll. Rock and roll came from Black culture and, you know, things like that. But we always make sure we keep that in our forefront of our mind, in our collective. And when we speak in a group chat or text messages to each other, we're always uplifting each other and having that mindset. You know, there's no barrier to like what we could send each other or talk to each other about, whether it's slavery, whether it's music, whether it's the origins, whether it's like you know, the history of Black history of rock and roll. Like, that's exactly the kind of thing we would want to represent and have, you know, be to promote and make sure that the the mindset, the posts, the consciousness that you're awakening, like, gets seen by more people because it deserves that, you know.
Man, I really appreciate it because I mean, for me, dude, like like I've been told that it's like, oh, this is white people's music, but I had a father who was just like, nope, because he was a musician. I'm a musician as well too, and like, I mean, he had all these different albums from like Cream to like freaking, Funkadelic and on all these different things, and he played with some different people too, like, and so. I mean, my dad is the reason that I went to shows even as a kid, like rock and roll shows and all that. And the thing is, he wasn't necessarily, how can I say it? At one point, he was just like, "Hey, I got to raise this family," but he still had music around us, and he always cultivated just my interest not only in the music but also being Black. And he bought me Jimi Hendrix CD or Living Color CD, and would tell me about like Ernie Isley and how he saw Jimi Hendrix, and basically was like, hey, this is ours too. And so for me, with that, I did my own research as well, and I always took notes of different Black artists, some of them that I even covered here, when it came to writing the entries. And I'm like, at one point, how even I started was funny because it was just like every Black History Month, like I would just post it on Facebook, like different entries. And then at one point, my sister's like, I posted them on Instagram too. My sister's like, why don't you just make a whole page? And I didn't know, I'm like, I'm not a computer savvy person. So like a few years ago, I did, and a lot of people were digging the entries when I did them. It was a hashtag series. So I still have old entries up that I really need to redo and put over here. That's how many I've done. I got a lot more idea-wise. And then it just developed in the page, and I'm so glad that my sister recommended, because it's connected me to people like yourself, to even other allies that are doing the same thing, and as well as even some of the artists that I've not only interviewed but I've written about or typed, and I really appreciate it. I'm honored. Like, I'm literally humbled over it, like, even with some of the very few negative things that have happened, thank the Most High, like, I'm glad that like people like yourself and anyone else like are checking out the entries, and I'll be honest, I felt like this was a need. Shouts to all my POC pages that I dig, but I felt like our voice wasn't really being told as much as far as this music, at least at the time. Now I know that there's other different different pages and different outlets. And even before like I started, but I just really wanted to emphasize just the bios of the people that I was talking about. And I mean, there's, of course, I'm not saying that nobody else was doing it, but just I had a certain way that I wanted to do it, that, and I'm glad that people are paying attention. Shouts to people like my friend Calvin Chaos, who was in Afropunk, and he actually got the board running. He had one of the first sort of black rock musicians content online, and he's rest in peace right now. People like my friend Dante Hill, who did, he was a goth guy, basically kind of like trying to make a community of especially black goths and even other goths of color. So I give props to them. And then I have to always give props to Nicole Noir from Rock Diaspora, Culture Rock Griot, my homeboy Ogun Prime that does the Black Rock Musicians Lexicon. And man, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be long-winded. And now you guys, and I like giving shout-outs to people that are doing the same thing. But we all have a different function, and that's what I like,
Yeah, like I have a homegirl who actually she really helped me dive deeper into black culture and things because she was so educated about it. And years later, we actually reconnected, and she's a rapper now. Her rap name, Baby Ruthless. So
I like that name,
no,
Baby Ruthless.
yeah, no, she ruthless. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm her friend. Let's say that. She's a dope person, though. When you're on her good side for sure.
That's a sick name, man.
She's a
Um,
really dope rapper. She's like a goth aesthetic
I
rapper
dig
as well.
that stuff, man. I dig that stuff. Oh, Devil Algorithm says thank you. Hashtag love there. Ephraim says, oh man, Devil Algorithm, a goat. The queen is here. Uh-oh. And I got the homie Frank Biong. Frank Biong's awesome. You guys got to check him out. He's very eclectic and does a lot of really cool stuff. I interviewed him a few months ago, and it was a really cool interview because we talked, about some really cool stuff too. And he's an amazing musician and composer. Devil Algorithm says, thank you, Boo. Loving the interview and the vibe. Thank you. Thanks a mad lot. Ephraim says, right, great interview. Thanks, man. Thanks a mad, you guys. Seriously. And then we got the fist up. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And it says, Devil Algorithm says, we are the blueprint of everything. Yes. And I like the fact, me and Frank talked about this as well. Thanks for the follow, Ephraim. And Devil Algorithm says, great interview. Sorry, I'm looking close because I don't have my glasses. Guys, so refreshing. And, Ephraim says, facts. I'm like reading.
Oh
Your
yeah.
dad.
Oh yeah. The villain of glam. That's who I was talking about. She's dope.
Oh, man, I'm all saying double algorithm. I'm sorry about that. My bad.
No,
I
she's
dig
amazing,
that. I dig,
gorgeous.
man,
She's a
that's a
boss.
trip.
For real.
Yeah, I'm going to check you
I,
out, man. I'm going to check all y'all out.
I believe she's one of the North Carolina
Man,
representatives.
how deep are you guys? Oh, she says your dad is the MVP. Yeah, man. I miss my father. May his memory be eternal. May the Lord rest him. He was a huge influence on me. I actually did a post about him on his birthday. You could read about a little like of just, how he impacted my life, stand up dude. If I'm ever a father, I hope I'm like, man, he's done a lot. And just, he's the reason that I'm a musician even till this day by influence. And even the instrument that I'm mostly known for playing, he suggested it, and it's just a trip how much it's led to me.
That's
Frank Young says, hey, brother Orlando, great broadcast. Thanks for introducing us to great artists. Thank you. And you being one of them too, man. I appreciate it, guys.
oh yeah.
But man,
One of the cool
heavy.
I one of the last rock artists that I met. So I'm friends with Chris from that band Hot Mulligan. Um, I'm friends with like the guitarist, but last uh like big name rock star I met was Sid from Slipknot.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
man,
that was fucking
I dig
amazing.
Slipknot.
I was at a cannabis event, and one of my homies, he runs an Instagram called King TV, and he pulled up with this dude because he's been in the industry for years, the music industry, and worked with so many artists. And he pulled up with Sid to this cannabis event, and I got to shake his hand and meet him, and I was like, "This is legendary," you know.
That's right,
That was really
man. Yeah, it's Slipknot, man. Whew.
right.
I like the fact that Slipknot. Yeah, people thought they were just this generic new metal band, and then they bust into the death metal thing. That
Yeah,
Iowa album ripped, man. Like I'm like,
and
dude, I was in tears because of just like the stuff that he was talking about. But that
I was about
Joey just
to say
killed
the
those
lyrics.
blast beats, huh?
They were like heavy, but they had like a message, and that's what threw people off. They were like, "Wait, what the fuck? I could listen to this, like, and feel it," you know? Like,
Yeah, that stuff, man. Yeah, they ripped through that album, and I have to ask this, being a Slayer fan, what are your favorite? What's your favorite Slayer albums, or is it just like one or two? I have to ask that.
so, all right, so Slayer, I have to say, out of every album, there's a few songs that are like undeniably fucking amazing, and then when you're skating like a bowl contest or something, always mandatory Raining Blood. You know, that makes everyone go like 5 times
Oh yeah,
faster in a bowl.
yeah,
Like
that's
we're
you're gonna
skating.
go hard.
Yeah, I've been at a contest where you see everyone skating and then like Raining Blood comes in and you see like the speed of everybody increase by like 2. It's fucking crazy. Like I've never,
Damn.
like, it possesses you to skate. Or like when I put on Slayer, you know, whether it's a Angel of Death, whether it's um fucking, I don't know, any so, like,
Necrophobic.
yeah, some,
That necrophobic
you
is.
know, like it's something that you could put on and it just like it makes you want to charge it and go 2 times harder in everything you're doing, you know, like that Suicidal Tendencies song, like Possessed to Skate, like you get possessed to like just fucking charge it, you know. So
Man,
I think out of every album there's 1 or 2 songs that you could find in a Slayer album that is really gonna be like, this is fucking, this is the one, you know.
sick. Yeah, I dig, especially that album, and maybe because I like playing. I love the way it's just it's straight up like hardcore. Like the production is just it's rawer than the stuff that they did before,
Yeah,
and all the album's practically short. And I like fast, like thrashy punk rock type stuff like that.
yeah,
But they really edge that out in metal, like Necrophobic and the second part of Postmortem. Like
yeah.
I don't know why they even have it. It shouldn't even be a second part because it went right into Rain and Blood. That should just be a separate song. Like that, it should be called After Death. That song rips, dude. Everything. It's just like death thrash, man. Like
Yeah.
just straight up,
Yeah,
like
always Raining Blood because it has like its parts where it's like dun 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 dun, and then it has like the breakdown where it's like it's like you
oh
have
yeah,
aspect of a fucking, and then you just the sound of rain and the name of it's Raining Blood, so you're like, that's rain, but those are blood. That's blood. That's raining blood. Like the sound of raining blood.
yeah. It's like almost like a play on word because of the subject matter, which they kind of sparked a lot of controversy. And I think from what I've read, Jeff was like, "Hey, I was just telling a story about what actually happened and what these people were like in World War II. There was no intent of like glorifying a lot of this stuff. You know, it was more like this is what went on. You know,
Yeah.
I mean." That album drum wise is a huge influence on me. Like Dave Lombardo just killed it. It was just like notch. Like when I think of drums, I like a lot of stuff like that in death metal and grindcore and all that power violence stuff. I'm into all that stuff.
Hell yeah.
Um, just extremely fast, but that's one of my drum influences is that particular album, and the way that he played just ripped madness, man.
Where it's like the whole album is almost like mainstream because they just killed it so fucking hard.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and that's one of the every song is just like, okay, yeah, that's I know that song. I know that song. I know that song. You know?
It's just nonstop. Like there's albums like that I deem that's just like a nonstop album that every most if not every song is just like bam, bam, bam. You know,
Yeah.
that first Bad Brains release, Terrorizer's World Downfall, like in Rain and Blood, man, dude. Like
They
yeah. I was gonna ask about Goth aesthetic. How deep are you guys? Like as far as like just like and are you guys like nationwide or worldwide? That seems like a superhero like network.
yeah, nationwide, we worldwide, we got people literally all over. We have certain representatives that are chosen to be a representative. We have certain leaders that are in, you know, kind of look over who's going to be a representative, who's going to represent this. But when it comes to connections and people that we work with and collaborate with, we got people literally all over the world, from models to, you know, we always, we have like a group chat of representatives and leaders to where it's not a big list of names, but we're always looking out for the next talent. We're always talking, like I said, talking about different social issues, different, just everything in society, everything in black history, black, because even black history is being made today. You know, like
Yep.
uh, just everything in the culture and in the world. We just come together and talk about it and really speak. Okay, like, do we like the, like, what do you think of this person's content? You know, do you do you like this post? What do you think of this style? Like, you know, we're always bouncing back ideas and sharing the next up and coming influencer, or, you know, finding a collective like yourself to where it's like, what do you think of this collective? Oh, and everyone loves it. Okay, cool. So let's definitely, like, you know, then everybody starts following it, everyone starts looking into it, and then we start, you know, really promoting the people that we feel are a light to the community, you know,
That's
and
awesome.
are, yeah, like really making waves and representing things in a way that we like to see.
I think it's really cool and important that you guys stress also the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like even like that's really cool to me. I mean, aside from this, I'm a part of a collective that I formed from my students called the Sound Army Music Society. We've been around since '07. We're about to celebrate our month next month. And just like, so for me, community is a big deal. Like I'm a teacher that uses different musical games and stuff to introduce kids to, you know, anybody to music, but I mostly work with kids. And like, I love stuff like that. The band Create that I was in was kind of along the lines of like educational type community stuff with music, even though it was all experimental music. So for me, and especially like having that kind of collective that you guys are you know, it's so cool and important, especially in with us folks that you know, a lot of us, we had to make our own space. No Essence, and no disrespect to Essence or Ebony or BET, which unfortunately is owned by like, you know, it's mostly owned by white folks, you know, and I'm not hating when I say that. It's just that we don't really have a lot of things that we control. And this right here, like what you guys are doing, and even like all the other cats that I mentioned, it's so cool to see that consciousness there. You know, it's not just rock and roll for the sake of rock and roll. It's not just art for the sake of art. There's actually things that you guys want to see growing
Yeah.
and germinate and just, you know, that are that that are even beyond music, and that's a cool thing. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Hell
So I'm yeah.
yeah. That's definitely like, you know, I think seeing what you do is something really dope because black culture, rock and roll is something like black history in rock and roll needs to be spoken about. It needs to be solidified. And uh, while you're speaking, it reminded me of like how you said having to create our own lanes. I would see people cosplay all the time, but now you see people putting Instagrams black cosplayers, because black cosplay people don't get the shine as everybody else. They have to put themselves in this category and be like, "Nah, we're here. Like, you're going to see us," and then that's where acceptance comes from. But for so many years, like us as black people, although we lead the culture in fashion and all these things, they don't necessarily want to give us the credit.
They
So we got
don't.
to be like, no, this is ours. This is where it fucking started. This is our shit.
Yep.
And even like white people who are open minded, once you explain things to them, they understand. Even like with the Kendrick Lamar performance, now you see all these white people like, that was the greatest performance ever. At first they're hating it, but then they realized all the symbolism and how true to the culture he was being. And he was like, it's a whole different level of understanding now that people are just like, wow, now it's undeniably amazing.
The
Now
thing
you
that
can't.
I like about that is that he put it right in their face. And the thing is, this is at an age where they're trying to take our history out. And this is what I like about the energy that's going on between Kendrick Lamar and there's other, black content creators that I'm really into, the new black media and all that. It's like, we're not letting you guys do
Yeah,
that. Not only are we establishing our own rules, we're going for it in a way that we don't care about what the hell you think. And I like that Kendrick Lamar threw it right in their face. The fact that there's so many different levels to that performance, even when it comes to history, let alone just like the symbolisms that he's using, that even is like his rap with the double entendres, he did that with the performance too.
yeah.
Because some people,
He
and
chose
if it went over, I'm
songs.
sorry.
He chose specific songs to like represent that shit.
Yep. My thing is this: if it went over your head, you're proof that we live in two different societies in this country.
Yeah,
They don't. A lot of cats just, we're just one. You don't really believe that. You say that we're one human race, but you're trying to ban my history. You say
yeah,
that you're one human race, but you're over here caping for some devil that freaking choked this brother out in who this a mentally ill person out in the freaking subway because just want to be a freaking racist pig or try to use your dog whistles. No, today is a new day. It's been a new day for a while.
yeah,
People always kind of crap on our ancestors as if they took stuff. Not all of them did. That's the other part of history that people don't want you to know.
yeah,
We've been fighting.
yeah.
It's been a long time. It's always been a constant struggle.
Or like the fact that like black people weren't able to have a lot of things, so like no wonder why they stole back in the day, just to survive. Maybe they're dying of hunger and thirst, and they stole food, and now they're looked at as people who steal. It's like, yeah, they steal to survive. They steal because their conditions
But
are what.
I'll say this though, bro. A lot of that, when they say that to me, that's a trope. That's what I call trope doping. No, because a lot of those cats that do that, they want to deny their history of theft and murder.
Yeah,
That's a deflection and a projection. That's trope. You're not going to trope dope me. That's because you're getting high off of your own tropes that you made up about me. That's been going on since slavery.
yeah,
They did that just to justify that, even ripping pages out of the Bible, which is a devilish thing to do.
yeah,
You know, if you claim to be a Christian, you're taking away and adding to the word. That's judgment on you. But even aside from religion, that's just wrong. You know, a lot of times when they do that, that's just what I call that trope doping, because for me, it's like, okay, you're gonna throw this trope on me so you can get high off of your own arrogant bull
yeah,
crap. No,
yeah,
that's not. And I call cats out on
yeah,
that. Like the whole DEI hire, I'm like, all right, you're a naturalization of 1790 hire then, all right? If you're gonna do that, you're a Wagner Act recipient. I don't let them do that to me,
yeah,
and nobody should. Brothers and sisters are not. I mean, we're over it. We've been over it.
yeah.
We've been patient
So,
too long. Sorry if I sound like, I don't want to sound like I'm ooh,
no,
but
understand that completely, because I even on a different aspect but a similar plane, um I have like women in my life who will see my content, and they might be posting like provocative photos, and they'll see me at like post like I went to a strip club and I was booked to shoot photos and video for Phoenix Flexin, Lil Veda, Two Tone Twins, DJ Sky High from the Baddie Show pulled up. Like, it was a dope event, you know, and because it was a strip club, they had strippers dancing, and it was like a live performance, entertainment, you know. A lot of the strippers I met, a lot of them are, you know, they're modeling on a for companies, or they're actually doing more for themselves. They're not just trying to just be on a pole their whole life. They're actually progressing and doing things, you know. So I have girls come up to me sometimes that like, I'm not like these other hoes you're promoting, and it's like, these girls probably hooking up with less dudes than you know? Like, they out here to make their money. They're trying to do something. They look beautiful. They know they have nice bodies, so they're dancing. Pole dancing is a really like intense sport, you know? Like, I can't lift up my body upside down and not like I know even how to twerk, but twerk upside down, spin circle on a pole, you know, I'm gonna knock myself out, you know, like that's insane. But people see things for face value and will try to tear down people for embracing themselves or being themselves or doing whatever, and just to like make themselves feel better, you know. It's like these girls are posting provocative photos of themselves and then calling these other girls hoes. It's like, that doesn't make sense, you know. You can't, you know, what is it, throw stones at a glass house or something like that. You can't, you know, because it's just like, you know yourself, like, these people are just embracing themselves and doing what they love to do, and doing, if they really didn't want to do it, if it really was against their morals, they most likely wouldn't be out there doing it, you know. And these girls are exuding similar morals, but trying to put other people down instead of just being like, okay, you do you, that's what you like to do, okay, like, kill it in the lane that you're doing it, as long as you're not hurting nobody, as long as you're not hurting yourself, long as you're not, you know. And that's what society just in general has kind of had to deal with. It's like, you know, it's like being, it's like snitching. Like, if you snitch someone out, it's like, it's not like you never did something illegal yourself, you know. And then you're not gonna you could rat someone out, oh, they did this, and then you're gonna go do something illegal and then do another illegal thing, another illegal thing. Well, should someone be ratting you out for all those things? You know, you're not going to like it. You're going to get upset. But you being the person that likes to feel like you're in control and in control of other people's lives instead of worrying about your own, that's where the problems lie a lot of times, you know?
Yeah, it's like even in the Bible, it talks about you're focused on certain cats are focused on like the splinter in someone's eye when they have a whole freaking log in
Yeah,
theirs. You
seriously.
know,
We're all human in the end of the day. We're all, you know, meant for different purposes. We all have different likes and dislikes, styles, vibes. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, you know. And I feel like with Black culture, we've always been so unapologetically ourselves, you know, like this, that Black, you know, pride, that power that you like, we love, you know, oh, I love my dark skin, I love my melanin, I love my this, you know. And other people see, like, try to conform and try to put people down for not conforming to their specific ideology, you know.
yeah,
And Black culture has always went against that, I feel like, you know, whether they wanted to or not, you know, like, because of slavery and all that, they had no choice but to oppose certain things. And then having all that oppression, they had no choice but to stand up for themselves and oppose certain things just to have rights. So we had no choice for years to be unapologetically ourselves. Like, if I like it, I like it, you know. You know, if you're gonna try to take my credit for it, doesn't mean I'm gonna stop doing it. I'm just gonna keep on doing my motherfucking craft and creating my
yep,
music, doing my jazz, you know, influencing rock and roll, because one day in the history books there's gonna be, you know, Black history of rock and roll, and they're gonna expose what the fuck really happened, you know? So that's, I like to say, when you keep it real, there ain't no but nothing nobody could tell you. You know, you just keep
Yep.
living it real. They're gonna try to lie on you, and you got all the receipts of you being true to yourself. So ain't nobody could ever tell you shit. You know?
Exactly. And we got to all keep that mentality, even when they trope dope. And, it's all basically cats just like, how could I say this without sounding crass? Basically diddling their ego. I'll just say that. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. And we don't have to accept dirty people like that. If they're like that, that just goes to show how disgusting they are. I mean, that's they're trope doping. That's basically that. We don't have to do that. And I think it's really cool, just the fact that, we just create. And even when we talk about rock and roll, like as of me studying history, I understand why like some cats like would be like, okay, that's white people's music, because a lot of times we will just create and then leave onto the next, and then other cats will pick that up and then claim it as theirs. This day and age, we can't do that anymore, and I'm glad to see that some brothers and sisters are not doing that anymore. We're
Yeah.
claiming our creations now, and that's one of the reasons that I do this. And it's like, it's not an all lives matter thing. Let's show the origin of where this came from. It's no disrespect to anyone else, but let's show the origin. It's the same thing with jazz and hip hop. People are trying to do that. No, no, this came from our culture. These are the people. Some of these cats will tell you that we have no culture. That's a lie. My dad taught me that earlier on. Dude, we are a part of a culture that went global in so many different ways, not just musically, but even socially. We fought for things that, like, basically has helped even other people aside from ourselves. Sometimes even more than it's helped us, even though we've still done that. We've been a beacon to the whole world, to the point where they ask, like, okay, where's the black voice on this? This literally happens. So now it's just like, recognize your culture. It's not to put other people down. And I'm being specific when I'm saying, original Black American culture in that regard. That's what our culture is. And no one can tell me different. It's not to put anyone else down. I don't do that. But I'm just saying, don't tell me that I don't have a culture. Thanks a lot, Frank. Me and
Yeah.
Frank actually talked about that too. Frank is, like I said, he's an amazing musician and composer. He's from the continent of Africa. You're in Kenya, right, Frank? But he's originally from like oh my gosh, Congo. But we talked about this on the cast, like, it's amazing. So that's where I am now. I'm like, don't you ever tell me that I don't have a culture. Some of you guys don't even realize that what you're doing is the culture that came from my own people.
Yeah.
And it's not a put down, never is a put down. I don't mock people unless they are gonna troll. But I pretty much, I try to be educational, and I try to be as reasonable as I can.
Yeah.
I don't accept any white supremacist lies at all,
Yeah.
because all their whole thing is made up of lies. It's cap, all of it.
Yeah.
They just have had a way to weaponize that cap crap to the point
Yeah. I mean,
where it's like, I'm
I mean,
sorry.
the Hitler did it too. He learned to weaponize racism and, attacking people. It's just they use those same tactics to try to make themselves feel superior, in every way, when all reality it's like, culture came from these people, culture came from this side, culture came from this side, culture came from black people, like, but you the thing about black culture is like, they've always it's always like it stayed true to itself and wasn't trying to like grab onto other people's things like that. It was like, it's like we always fought for what was ours because it was always overshadowed and taken.
Yep. Or it was
That
demonized. They've demonized all of it. Dude, they've demonized not only our gospel music, oh, that's devil music, They demonized our rock and roll and jazz. They demonized hip hop, blues, everything that we've done. And now when cats are seeing, the overall influence that we've had worldwide with it and how popular it became, they want it, the unfortunate supremacist powers that be basically like appropriated and tried to use it as their own. The thing is, dude, and then they try to all lives matter it. No, it isn't. We know the origins, and that's one of the reasons that we exist. The other thing with that too, racism is basically that superiority complex, you know, projected on, you know, against people like us. That's why, you know, I say that, you know, we could be prejudiced and bigoted, but we can't be racism. That's a specific thing. You can look at the etymology of that. It's not a new thing. That's what it means. It's white supremacy. But then even thinking about just anti-blackness in general and how man, that's a whole nother wormhole. And just, you know, we've been very much the champions of blackness globally, and it's not like a hate against any other person in the diaspora, but we've definitely held a beacon to it. Why even fighting our own battles on front, you know? And so that's what our culture represents in the positive. Frank says African people are are mainly responsible for spreading that Black Americans have no culture bullshit. Yeah, unfortunately, and I love, like, obviously I'm talking to an African brother right here. Love my African brothers in the diaspora, whether they're on the continent, in the Caribbean or in Latin America, or in, like, you know, other places. But unfortunately, I have seen that. And I go to an Ethiopian Orthodox church, so I'm not hating, you know, but I'm not going to let no one tell me that I have no culture. My dad, I mean, it's the reason that we specifically call ourselves Black American. We never use Afro American because that's a whole, I think we think it's a different thing. It's not, I'm not hating on that. And some of us will go and be specific and say foundational Black American or original Black American or Black American descendant of freedmen, just to say, hey, this is our origin. It's not divisive. It's more of like being specific. It's like me saying, hey, you're Puerto Rican, fine. You're Jamaican, fine. You're, you know, Panamanian, fine. It's just being more specific about what we are and our culture and what we represent.
Yeah.
You know, out of respect, you know. So yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get into a whole litany, but
No, I feel that. I feel like yeah, just Black culture, I feel like the direction it's going is going to be very positive in the next few years, because especially with this thing, you know, think like this whole Kendrick beef happening, you know, people really started rocking with the culture a lot more and seeing the symbolism and the heart. You know, they didn't just like, yeah, Drake. The thing about this too, Drake makes music for girls. Kendrick makes music for the culture and speaks to the heart and speaks from his heart. So, you know, now you're looking back in his discography and you're like, oh wow, he really did have heart. You know, like Tupac, when he was making music, he was making music that was like Dear Mama and Brenda's Got a Baby and these other songs that really made you think and feel. And it takes certain people in Black culture to spark that in society and make people feel again and make people look into our words and why we are the way we are, why we speak the way we speak, why we act the way we act, why we exude the Black culture and stay true to ourselves so much. And like how, okay, back in the day we thought it was like aggression. Now we understand like that was them asserting themselves into just trying to be heard and seen as an equal, you know, or be recognized for the things that they've done for society. So,
and
I,
piggybacking on what you're saying too, I grew up in a time where, okay, I'm listening to punk rock, of course, but I'm also listening to a lot of not only, um, like I'm listening to stuff like Ice Cube, Death Certificate era Ice Cube,
yeah,
Public Enemy, and even a lot of underground hip hop groups like Freestyle Fellowship. They all had this conscious. It's a Black conscious,
yeah,
what we call woke, and that woke term is not new. That's, I mean, we can go back to the 30s with Lead Belly for that one. Never let anyone shame you for that, because real woke is black consciousness. That's what it meant, and it still means that. I don't care what Fox News says. But the thing is, there's a level of consciousness that was in the music back then, and it's amazing because saying that about Kendrick, I think personally he's been a champion of like really putting that consciousness out there back in the early 90s, especially like between especially 90 shoot between like 90 to like 90 90 maybe 95, I'd say there's a lot of that, whether it be more militant stuff or even the gangster stuff like Ice Cube, even like the lynch mob and all that stuff. You heard the gangster boogie, but they still dropped some knowledge
Yeah,
in there and just let you know about the state that you were in, like Public Enemy did.
yeah,
Whether it was from the street, whether it was from something that cats were like into five percenters or Nation of Islam, or you had cats that are just like, just that cat that was, like kind of a nerdy cat dropping some knowledge, that was a level of consciousness then. And I feel like I'm probably wrong because for a while I would check in here and there, and there's sort of a nihilistic thing going on for a while in hip hop. I mean, that's always been there too, but I felt like more within the last 10 to 15 years. But then, of course, I'm glad that Kendrick is getting the spotlight because of that consciousness. I'm not saying he's the only one, but I'm glad he has a lot of things that parallels a lot of the stuff that I grew up on,
yeah,
like I like, like all those groups, all those people that I mentioned, whether it was Tribe Called Quest, whether it was freaking, Ice Cube or any of those cats, Brand Nubian from back in the day, So it's cool to see that you're saying that about consciousness in hip hop now, like,
yeah,
and the culture is representing,
yeah. And then there's other people, like you have to have these people that are just undeniably good to where you cannot. That's why that's the thing with Black culture too that always kept us progressing is, we had the Jackie Robinson, undeniably good. You can't keep him out of baseball because he's damn good and he's gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
back. But you have these other people that just paved the way to where it was like, damn, like he's amazing. I love this dude. Bad Brains, their music was so iconic and so true to themselves, and you know all these music Babylon, all these things that they spoke on with punk and reggae
Yep.
combined in a way that nobody had really seen before, and it's things like that that revolutionize the culture that they can never take away from us. Um, I think that's really what has kept us on the forefront of entertainment for so many years, and why they see us as like the number one in fashion or pioneering in music and things right now, because they're starting to realize like, okay, like whenever that new thing comes, it's a lot of times from someone from in Black culture that really switched it up and stayed true to themselves and made their own lane with a little niche that they found, you know?
Yep. And with that, I have to ask you a question. Oh, Fire Cream says I'm leaving my mark in the oil game. Right
Yeah,
on. That's
hell,
heavy.
they're fire for real.
Man. What so I have to ask, speaking of music, what are you working on these days?
Honestly, so for the past pretty much since I had red hair, I've had red hair for like 3 4 years now.
That's
People
rad.
push to like uh like make my own music and do something. So this next year I'm gonna actually be looking into getting into a studio and doing a little something myself. But now what I'm working on is I'm working with the Afro Goth aesthetic and creating a event in Las Vegas coming up. That's going to be the Afro Goth Fest, and we're going to have from emo rap artists to we're going to combine all our different styles and bring our representatives out. We're going to probably have the Vilna Glam from North Carolina come out. Efren, Space Boy, Robert, they're in Vegas already. I'm an OC. I'm going to be popping out to that. So we're going to have all these different people, different lanes, and coming together for this Afro Goth Fest, which is going to be insane. And then I got some cannabis events always coming up. I get booked for. I'm gonna be doing behind the scenes photos on stage for my friend Mark the Franchise, who's gonna be
Mm,
opening up for Master Killa and some Wu-Tang members.
wow.
So that's um, got my pro model board coming out for Street Savage TV, hopefully in
Heck
October.
yeah.
So I got a lot of things popping off, but Afro Goth aesthetic, Afro Goth Fest is definitely going to be something insane coming very soon this year.
Man,
So
tell us about your Street Savage page, because like, and you've had that going on for even before you joined Afro Goth.
yeah, I've had this going for maybe so it's 2025. I started it around 2020. I,
Wow.
so what I do with it is photos, videos. I do editing. I help people with social media marketing. I help coordinate events, get brands for events, connect people with venues. Um, Pretty much anything in that entertainment lane, models, anyone who's pretty much like has is part of the culture is just unapologetically themselves, just like whatever style you have, whatever like I said, I've worked with strippers who I've done modeling photos for. I've worked with rappers at events, festivals I'm booked for. I've done anything in different lanes, skate events, cannabis festivals. I was the host of Kush Talk last year. And then while I was hosting, I had people want me to do media. So I did their media as they were on stage. So I kind of got to double up. And I get, uh, I'll get booked for behind the scenes music videos, and they'll ask me to be in the music video a lot of times. So with Street Savage TV, it's something that I created to just promote the people that I believe in. Um,
That's so cool, man. Like, how long have you been doing that, and what got you interested in the whole multimedia thing, especially coming, I mean, of course, being a skateboarder, but like, just how did that even spark?
it sparked a lot for my skateboarding because I spent, my entire 20s sponsored. I mean, I'm sponsored now. I haven't not had a sponsor since I was 18 years old as a skateboarder. But um, doing, you know, doing like um I think doing the skateboarding thing, not getting the photos, not getting my videos, being so motivated in the lane that I was in, I saw how I liked my photos to be. I worked with the photographer that was my skate photographer. I taught her how to do skateboarding because she was just into modeling. So I've always been a good photographer. I've always been the best filmer out of my friends, but I always wanted to be in front of the camera. I always liked being the star. I wanted it to be all about myself the entire 20s. I was like, I like to be in the music videos. I like to be the photo shot of me. And as I got older, I had my son. I was like, I have all these connections. I established myself so much. I might not be able to skate every day for this next year or two, but um, what I want to do is create something to give back to the industries that I'm in. And I know that I take good photos. Why not just start doing it? I know I take the best videos. Why not just start doing it? Stop being so selfish and self-centered into me, and start using my connections. Start building a brand. Start creating merch and going to events and doing things for other people. So that was really my mindset is, I've had so many people take photos of me and not get them, and that's a portion of my life.
Mm,
That's the clothing I was wearing at that time. Those are the friends that I was hanging out with that may not be on this planet anymore. That I didn't get that footage of that day that I was with them.
wow.
I all these things are documenting our lives, and the less people post on social media, the more they're just making a ghost themselves, a ghost of society, and making their voice more obsolete. You know, if they don't want to lead, they don't want to lead. That's one thing, but you know, the world needs leaders with good hearts and good mindsets. And if you don't like the way something's happening, you got to make that shit happen yourself.
Yep.
So that's why Street Savage TV, to be like, okay, I work with the savages, the best of the best, but these people aren't going to fuck you over. These are the savages out there really making waves for their community, really doing things for the industries, really staying true to themselves. And that's what Street Savage TV represents, and why my Instagram, you go to the very bottom, it's just like, might have just been like some skateboarding things, but through skateboarding, it brought me into these different lanes to where I have these amazing people around me. I was already skiing with all the pros. I was already, going to mansion parties for cannabis and getting booked to be in music videos or to promote a cannabis brand. But once I started Street Savage TV, I started getting booked for these events and getting, my name more out there within a few years. I got Betty Crocker Bakes hit me up. She started working with me. She liked the way I work. She put my name on flyers. She got me all over the industry to where this past like year, I did maybe, at least with my face on the flyer, like 6 to 10 events. Like
Sick, man.
maybe, I mean, not even six, maybe starting low end, like 8 to 10 events to where I had my face on a flyer and I was booked. And then by the end of the year, I was a host of Kush Talk. So um, it's just so much growth has happened since then, just by staying true to myself and being less selfish. I realized that, like, when I focused on myself and I want to be the star, that took away from the connections I could have made by creating a community, by creating things for people to gravitate towards and all build together. And if I, instead of just, hey, drive me here and shoot photos of me, it's like, hey, let's go shoot photos, let's go film. I'm gonna get a whole content day of you, and then I'm gonna get my own content due. I have a photographer meeting up to do my photos, or you know, I'm gonna set up my tripod and we're gonna get content together, and it really builds with the people around me, more than ever. So I think that's where my company has been building and striving, because so many companies go out of business within a year or two, even if they have a $1 million backing. If you're doing it just for the money and just for yourself, that people are going to see that and they're going to be like, okay, he's just charging $120 for pants, you know, instead of putting the money to going and throwing an event in the community and giving away a few pair of pants, and then talking to the people and interacting with them and shooting photos, and then they hit you up, hey, do you have the photo with me in it? And they're all excited, and now you have this community of people hitting you up, and they're reposting a photo because you took a photo of them. Now they're reposting you, and their home reposted you, and it really builds when you really focus on a community instead of just yourself, you know.
That sounds really cool, man. I really appreciate that. Fire Cream says, have a blessed night. I got an acre lot venue in Colton if y'all need one. And yeah, man. Oh, wow, dude. What's up, Kendon? Kendon's another amazing musician too. Um, and so yeah, if you need, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. If you need space, I got you, my boy. Right on, man. Well, I appreciate, man. This is awesome. Oh man, we can't hear you. Hello? Oh no, what happened? Your voice. We can't hear you. Let me type. I don't know. What's going on? Come on, don't mess with me, Instagram. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, oh. 1 second, we'll figure it out. Come on, don't do this. Can you hear me? We can't hear you. Come on, dude. What's up with this? Instagram is tripping. Hello? Oh, wow. Oh, man. Ah, we gotta get. Oh, man, because I want to get his social media. Can you guys hear me? We can't hear you, bro. Hold on.
Oh, I can hear you now. Yo.
I was like, oh my gosh, where you at?
Yo, hell yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
So with that, I'm gonna we're gonna we'll wrap it up, and we will talk again. But what I want to do, I want you to give all your social media, AfroGoth, um, Savage, all of it. And then after that, I want you to give us a word of wisdom. I always ask my guests that.
Hell yeah. So my Instagram is HESH.hippie.tv. I got a backup now because I came on Instagram. My Instagram was like taken down for a second. I had to appeal it. So I got HESHhippie.tv.2. I got StreetSavage.tv for my media account. And then, of course, the Afro Goth aesthetic page. They do a lot for me. They do a lot for the Black community, the Afro Goth community, anyone of color. They're always representing, and even on the post, you see it's English and in Spanish a lot of times for people to just for multicultures to understand and represent the Afro Latino, that Black culture, the roots of everywhere we're from, just embracing everybody. That's what we represent, and it's Afro_Goth_aesthetic on Instagram.
Man,
So, and then a word of wisdom, I would say never be afraid to create
oh
your
no!
values because
Say that
in the
again, because man, something it cut you off. Say that again.
I'd say never be afraid to stay true to your values and create a community, because when you create a community and have good people around you, there's nothing that could stop you. And if you all have good intentions and are doing positive things, nothing could stop you from achieving your goals.
Real talk, man. Dude, it was rad chatting it up with you, man. Seriously. Um,
Yeah.
Shoot. We will talk some more. I really dig. I dig. Like, I'll be honest with you guys. And this is the reason I brought you on, because I want, like, okay, I want him. I want these cats to, like, I want people to know about them that probably don't know, and I want to make sure that, like, instead of me saying it, because I'm still finding out about you cats. Let me bring this brother on, or anybody, and they told me, like, you're the representative. So I'm like, okay, one of many representatives. I'm like, right on. And I had no idea you lived, like, within the vicinity either. So man, if you're ever in Long Beach, you got to come out to our instant band event that we do at Homeland Cultural Center, my Sound Army crew and all that.
Dude, I would love to do that. That sounds like a dope ass time. I'd definitely love to come and do some media and hang out with you guys.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, heck, man, thank you for coming out. Shouts to Afro Goth Aesthetic, and shouts to Savage TV. Shouts to you, brother Hesh Hippie. I really appreciate you coming out, and sorry about that, man.
No, it was worth the wait. That
Man,
was a good
I
ass
can't believe I.
conversation. So that,
Yeah,
that
I
was a
know I
good
started
time for
later,
real.
but man, we'll talk some more, man.